But first and foremost, we are going to be stopping at Overpass, the choice of Cloud9. They're going to be starting, obviously, on the T side, with Nip opting for just the one smoke and a kit to their name.
Looking like they want to play some kind of a retake, and 3 players actually getting aggressive down connector on this initial play. Cloud9 fully queuing up towards the B bomb site. They are going to one site and one site only, but this aggression from Nip will allow them to get a very fast flank in towards short should they choose to. Plopsy's going to play it passively, and Cloud9, they'll get a relatively free bomb site, but now the flank starts to come in. Lekro looking to guard the cross, can't do so. MOTM and JT with a couple of quick headshots and really piling on the pressure now as Floppy finds a third on the Glock, trying to run straight through Twist, at least able to get 2 in response, but he's all alone and he needs the ace if there's going to be any chance in this round. And he's got no armor either. The smoke grenade looking utterly useless at this point. MOTM going to get his head ripped off though, and a 2 versus 1 now for Twist as he looks to push on in.
This is where that smoke can start to become a bit of a nuisance, though. He could even go for the full defuse in the smoke if he feels up to it. He knows time is running scarce. He's going to tap onto the bomb. He's going for the full defusal. They're spamming up through the smoke, and Twist, he's going to pull it off. How in the hell have Cloud9 let that happen? He snuck the defuse under their noses.
Everything was right for Cloud9. They had played that perfectly. They'd got into the bomb site. They'd found their entry frags. But how can you get around the fact that Twist just sits behind his own smoke and sticks the defuse? Cloud9 not managing to connect the bullets, and that really is a huge disappointment. At least able to get the buyout on the back of that bomb plant. So they're going to have 4 rifles and JT dropping down onto the Deagle as the CT side pick themselves up a few FAMASs and an MP9 onto Lekro.
What a beautiful start for the Swedes. Not so much if you're on Cloud9. Not going to be happy about that. But bomb plant, Glils, SG, AK, such a strong purchase has been picked up by both teams. And they're going to be going head to head. It's more of a connector control start for Cloud9. There is a player down there in the form of Lekro with his MP9, but he's going to be deciding to back away instead and watch short.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? That T-sided economy allowing them to pick up 4 rifles despite losing the pistol, including the Krieg onto MOTM as well, which could be absolutely crucial. When you look at that CT buying power, they've only got 1 M4 onto Twist. Their utility is very limited. And as Cloud9 look to group up towards that A-bomb site, they can really start to pile the pressure on. 3 players here for the defense, though, and plenty of firepower to try and push back this hit.
Smoke's about to blot out the sun on Cloud9, and the push will be forthcoming. There's no flashbangs to afford them, and so much grenade damage, picking shrapnel out of their teeth are Cloud9. The bomb goes in first and gets dropped in such an awkward position. I'm not sure if they're on the same page about that. It forces him to just rushing straight onto the site, and it allows Rez to open his account with 2. A 2-on-1, MOTM, 4 HP. Doesn't have control of the bomb either with 25 seconds to go. Surely he has no hope in this round.
Trying to clear whatever angles he can, but Nork already on the aggressive flank in towards the bathrooms. There is nowhere to hide for MOTM as Plopsy's going to spot him out. Does miss the initial shot and perhaps gives him some room to breathe, but it's allowing Nork to come out as well. The truck plant not going to come through. The Krieg even recovered by the CT side as they get their second on the board. And considering the firepower difference between the T and the CT side there, Ninjas in Pyjamas have done an incredible job.
They really have. Again, that nade that was tossed onto around the flower bed of short banana absolutely rinses Cloud9. I think it did about 125 damage split between 3 players. But the head-scratching moment there, Wolfie, is they send the bomb in first with 45 seconds to go. Didn't need to. There was no smoke on the site. There's no real hope. They didn't check any of the angles. That's a very odd decision.
And if they hadn't gone first with the bomb, JT could have made the call that there's at least 2 players there and possibly even a third, and then they can rethink their plan, maybe go down connector and try and make something different happen. But instead, they went for it and it fell apart at the seams. 4 P250s this time as Cloud9 looking to go very quickly into this bomb site. Lekro will help himself to the first, and now the support comes in. Just the 1 frag, make it 2, as MOTM at least able to find Rez at the very death of things. But I'm sure Ninjas in Pyjamas, they won't be worried about that too much. They've kept their 3 main rifles up, and they've managed to keep that Krieg on Plopsky as well, which is always a great bonus for a CT side.
It's a good point. They lost the expendable weapons, but they kept the important ones, as you say, using the SG. Any map in the current pool, it is an absolute nightmare for the terrorists to push. You can just tap through. It's going to be interesting to see where Plopsky takes it for his squad. It would appear that he is going to be opting towards the B side as a Molotov is going to get extinguished. OC can push through onto the playground. The second molly stops him from pushing short. quickly, and Red's going to be tossing in an nade. This could do a little bit of chip. It does knock JT down significantly.
That's a lovely nade to open things up as well. And when you bring MOTM down to 91, that's within the one-shot headshot range of the M4 as well. So the damage is very significant as Twist with this scout reading it perfectly, but can't quite find the initial shot. Plopsky gets the better of Sonic down towards the B bomb site to open things up, but that's all a fake for Cloud9 as they're looking to take the control towards Banana. The crossfire still here for Rez and Twist. They are not abandoning this just yet as Cloud9 look to push on in with 1:05 left.
Slowing things down somewhat, but there could be some re-engage coming into fruition from Rez, who is moving up close. He does have Twist watching his back with the scout. SG's in the meanwhile going to be wielding their way onto long. Smoke put down onto long itself. This is getting rid of some of the vision of Nip, maybe trying to draw a rotation out towards the B side or from the B side. But Cloud9 not really getting too much real estate, and time is starting to dwindle away. They've got to start pushing.
Rez still alive and kicking as well towards short, causing havoc. Finally taken down by Floppy as the push starts to come in. Twist with a lovely headshot to open things up onto Floppy, and he's looking for more as well. He'll find the second onto JT. He even finds the no-scope tag, which Plopsky will take gladly. A double for him, and Ninjas in Pyjamas find their 4th round. Twist showing up in a big way on the scout, and you've just got to wonder if that's what he can do with the scout. What's going to happen when the AWP comes into play? And there you go.
This was the appetizer, and now the main course is coming to the table. And Cloud9, they're already fed up. They don't want any more. They have to drop down to Desert Eagles and P250s. It's looking rough for their choice of map. And Nip are doing a very similar job to what Renegades did when it was Dexter, as I said, on the CT side. They're taking the fight to Cloud9. They're not allowing them to settle. They're forcing them into these very strange claustrophobic fights towards the end of the round. MOTM, though, going to drop Rez. That's a free weapon that trades hands. Not an ideal start for Nip.
Feels like a little bit of an oversight from NIP, if we're honest, sending Rez alone down connector and straight into a stack, as Sonic does take a little bit of chip damage off of the Krieg, and it is going to be Cloud9 looking to group down towards this B bomb site as the push starts to take shape. MOTM, of course, on that recovered M4A4. Plenty of firepower for the T side to try and make this one work.
There certainly is, but a well-timed smoke is going to blockade the initial push. But they're going to decide to go in anyway, accompanied by a flashbang, realizing they have no map control. They have to just press forward. They're not sure about flanks. They're not sure as to where these CTs reside, but now they're going to find out that Nork is up close and personal as his M4 sings for a kill. He goes down to the hands of OC, and it is a bomb plant, so all things considered, if Cloud9 can do more damage, that would be wonderful, but they've pretty much accomplished the mission they set out for themselves. That's a few kills and a bomb plant, but they're still 5-0 behind.
Yeah, they've kept the CET economy honest, but how many times can that be considered a success before you have to just start looking at the scoreboard, plain and simple? Cloud9, they will be able to buy into this next round. The pace, frenetic, and Ninjas in Pyjamas are taking advantage of it to the nth degree. The buy is still going to be very good on the CT side, and they're even going to bring out the double AWP setup this time for Nip to try and shut down Cloud9.
It's a very good point you raised, that it's all well and good getting close, time after time, but eventually you've got to start converting. Getting an economy on the T side, not difficult, especially with full round loss bonus. Getting rounds and dethroning Nip's economy is going to be a much harder ask. Rez going aggressive. It's a solid flashbang, but he still pulls the trigger and takes the head off MOTM. Excellent start for Nip once again.
It's a little bit unfortunate for Cloud9. They play that one really nicely. 2 flashbangs to make absolutely sure, but Rez, he takes no prisoners. A quick headshot to open things up. And again, Cloud9, when they lose that opening map control towards A, they just funnel down into the B bomb site, and Nip's starting to get a bit of a read on that as well. 3 players now down into B, including Nork on the AWP, and a couple of rifles here to support him as well. The crossfire's perfectly established for Nip. You couldn't ask for a better hold as Cloud9 start to line up their nades.
This is where I think Cloud9 are starting to telegraph their plays a little bit too much. They're not drawing any players away. So many flashbangs, so many Molotovs have been exchanged, and the AWP round does go between the shoulder blades of JT and puts him down. Cloud9, they're really struggling. They're running into this blockade of CTs once more. I think we're reaching that kind of time here, Wolfie, where I'd like to see a timeout called. Just Cloud9 to regroup and figure out what's going wrong.
It feels like it's getting away from them far too quickly, doesn't it? 6-0 already, and honestly, there's been nothing that's made you go, okay, maybe that round was unfortunate and Cloud9 could pull something out. So they are going to go for the timeout at 6-0, and look at that, Twist, 158 ADR so far in this match. And I think the worrying thing, especially for Cloud9, is Nork hasn't even turned on yet. He's always been a player who's been quite hot and cold. He had some great maps and some slightly worse ones, and they're lost to Vitality. So if he's not showing up and you're still 6-0 down, what do you do when Nork starts to turn up in the server?
It's a good question, and they may not have the answer for those questions. They've got 16 kills collectively, Cloud9, so even though they're 6-0 behind, they have been getting kills. They have been taking casualties with them. It's just about getting across the finish line. However, that being said, the last 2 rounds have been very one-sided indeed, so I'd like to see them maybe throw in a few more fakes. I think this is getting a little bit obvious now. They're pushing together on B. They don't have any map control. They feel like they can't afford to go for a fake at that point. Try and draw out these rotations. Try and get Nip to respect their prowess across the map, because right now it's been far too easy.
There definitely needs to be a change somewhere, as Rez going to take some slow control, has Twist on the AWP to back him up as well, and it is going to be Cloud9 getting a little bit of map control this time towards the fountain. They're going to be able to push through without getting their heads ripped off by an AWP, as MOTM does eat an aid for his troubles. But at least they're getting some map control towards A, right? They've not been picked off and then immediately funneled down towards B, and they're actually starting to put a little bit of pressure onto Nip as well. As you can see, Twist having to bail out on the AWP, still turns to hit the shot, as Rez out in the open, able to get the better of MOTM, and once again, Cloud9 giving up a couple of early picks, and that's just a matter of the aim duels going the way of Nip.
Yeah, these Swedes have so much ability, and they're starting to show the world why maybe this team isn't dead just yet. A lot of people were worried when some of those veterans went across the Dignitas, but they're having a resurgence. Cloud9 have had their own issues lately. But you can only beat what's ahead of you, and that's what Sonic is taking to heart. Bullet between the eyes of Nork does open up B for business again, but so many of these rounds have ended here. Floppy on the drive-by, though, does take down Plopsky, and if Lekro falls, that should be B going with him, but he stalled enough time for the rotations to come in, and he is a one-man wrecking crew. That Molotov is doing nothing for JT, but Lekro shows his head anyway, and he rips it clean off. 20 seconds to play with JT about half his HP remaining. At least he does have the bomb under control, but there's the flank from Rez, and it's the flawless 7-0 sweep, and Wolfie, the timeout does nothing.
Cloud9 they found something that time. They got something going their way, but 2 quick frags towards the A bomb site very rapidly turned it on its head, and that was just a matter of players hitting their shots. Rez was out in the open. There was no utility to help him out, and he just straight won the aim duel. And when that happens, when Cloud9 aren't using their flashbangs, which they were so good at against Astralis, then it's just going to fall apart at the seams. Nip going from strength to strength, and the bank account's starting to build up on the CT side as well, as Cloud9, they will drop down onto the pistols once more and just try and get as much damage out as they can.
You highlighted it, double AWPs in play on the CT side, as if it wasn't bad enough for Cloud9 already. Now you have to deal with Twist and Nork with the sniper rifles. Do they maybe speed things up if they realize there's 2 AWPs? It is a direct counter to get up in the face of those AWP-wielding players. You can see that Rez currently on long, not by himself, because he does have Twist, but there is a smoke blockading his vision. He's going to hold the line anyway. Cloud9 stuck in the bathrooms, may have to start to worry about a potential flank, and Twist has his eyes on the prize of short, so if anyone peeks, they're going to be gone. It's not looking good here, Wolfie. It seems like it's going to be another massacre.
They're playing far too slowly, and as Twist gets the early tag, Lekro on the spray down, only able to get 1, but the Molotov will finish the job for him. Rez swings from long to find 1 more, and Floppy, he's pulled off some insane clutches, but he's not finding his shots this time. Nork can't make it happen either. A little bit of a messy fight, but it will be the nade to finish things off. If you can't hit him with the bullets, use the ordnance instead, and Ninjas in Pyjamas, they get round number 8 on the board. Cloud9 call a second timeout, and I mean, I could see what they were going for with that round, but it felt like they just needed to up the pace. They stopped, they waited, and Nip just tore them apart.
Well, there's 2 sides to this story. Cloud9 have looked pretty flat, but Nip have been on form. They've been on fire. Twist still up there in the ADR. 10 kills, but 4 assists, and so much impact in some of those rounds with the scout. Unbelievable plays, but I mean, just to add another little bit of woe and doubt towards this best of 3 for Cloud9, this is their choice of map, Wolfie. This should be their home turf, and they're getting completely decimated.
Yeah, it's got to start to put those doubts into the back of your mind, hasn't it? 8-0 down on your map pick, knowing you're going into Vertigo next, which is not a map that many teams are too comfortable on. They will be able to get the bye, Cloud9, and they will desperately hope that they can perhaps change their fortunes coming into this one. OC's got the AWP in his hands, and they're going to go for this connector control. They had a little bit of success with that when they had the pistol, so perhaps trying to replicate that as they slowly start to clear their way out and get some map control finally away from Nip.
That is the plan, but to be fair to Nip, they've been mixing it up. They were very aggressive in the early rounds. They're now slowing it down, starting to take some bathroom control late on for Rez. And Cloud9 hoping that Nip maybe overextend and give them a freebie to try and pivot off. Nip's economy as well is in such good shape that it's not going to be anytime soon when they break that down, but there's another spray that goes in favor of Nip through the smoke. Lekro pounces on Floppy, and Rez doubles up. Another timeout that's yielding nothing so far.
Rez as well, winning the duel against JT, and that's just a blind swing. There's no utility to support, but the frag still goes the way of the Ninjas, and Sonic desperate to make something happen, but the flashbang just a split second too late, and MOTM, he took the early damage from the spray down from Rez, and now he's in a 1 versus 5. The Krieg in his hands, the economy absolutely busted for Cloud9. Nip on the verge of getting double digits unopposed, and MOTM, he knows they're not going to let him save, so he's going to try and find some frags anyway. Takes the head off of Plopsky as he goes down to 6 points of health, and this round is all but done.
It would be a miracle if he could even get close to winning this round, never mind clutch it. Player on barrels, Lekro up close. 9-0, 2 consecutive timeouts that have yielded absolutely nothing whatsoever. Cloud9 back to the drawing board. It's hard to really see any weaknesses in this Nip roster right now. This is a very impressive performance.
They really look like they've turned on now. They've come into the lower bracket. They know it's do or die time now. They know that everything has to go their way, and they are performing to the next level. I will say, though, Cloud9, they're not really helping themselves at this point. They're not hitting their shots. They're struggling with their consistency, and something has to change, right? A mental switch has to flick, as once again, they're down onto the pistols. MOTM, the only player able to pick up a rifle, and the problem at this point is Nip are so confident. They've committed 4 players down towards the B bomb site. They know that if there's no early aggression towards A, Cloud9 are choreographed, and they're gonna hit the B bomb site, so they just rotate aggressively, put all of their presence here. And how do you get past so many rifles when you've only got pistols?
It's all about hitting those shots, winning the duels, which have been unable to do so thus far. They need a talisman. They need a bit of inspiration. They need that kind of play that's just going to really light a fire into their backsides, because if not, they're going to go out of their map with a whimper. As you say, elimination on the line from Katowice. So much to play for. Who is going to be that hero? Who can they lean on?
They've sent Floppy, who was the Clutchmeister Supreme against Astralis, up towards that A-bomb site just to try and put some pressure on Twist and try and force these rotations to be a little more honest from the Ninjas. And it is actually going to work. Nork under a little bit of pressure, but he'll take down MOTM early on. The 8K at least recoverable for Sonic, but as Twist gets the second, that's the A-bomb site lurk down. And the 3 remaining players for Cloud9 to try and make this B hit work. Sonic at least able to get one, traded immediately by Plopsky as OC starts to swing bomb on his back, but the Krieg at range is all too good. Lekro gets the next, and it's 10-0, double digits unopposed for the Ninjas. Cloud9, they will be able to buy into this round, but they are running out of opportunities to get on the scoreboard.
Absolutely the case. May even see another timeout round the corner, because if you don't use them, you're going to lose them. At the end of the day, you go out here, you get battered 15-0 on the first half. You're not really going to get a choice on the second half to have much of a say. I suppose the other side of things, though, is, well, they haven't really done anything with the timeout, so this is where you're looking towards your IGL. You're looking towards some of those more experienced players to maybe come up with some ideas.
Feels like they're lacking in inspiration as they just wander into the crosshairs, and Twist with 2 swift flicks removes 2 Cloud9 players from the server. OC very cautious about rounding the corner. Twist will finally be taken down, but there's a Krieg lying in wait, and Rez will grab 2 more. JT, all of his teammates gone before they even get any map control behind them. The nade brings him down to 64 HP, and once again, the ninjas in Pyjamas have utterly decimated Cloud9.
There's not much to add, really, Wolfie. I mean, this is the most brutal, one-sided game that we've seen at Katowice. We've had some pretty stompy games. We had 16-4, 16-5s. This is taking it to a different level, especially considering Cloud9 are solid and Overpass. I am absolutely baffled that they are getting this destroyed. They've basically had not even that many chances. I can't even remember that many 1v1, 2v2s. I mean, the very first round, of course, was that defuse in the smoke from Twist. That's the closest round we've really had.
That's all they've had. That's all the opportunities they've been given by NiP. As soon as they got those rifles out, it feels like it was game over. Cloud9 going to be calling their 3rd timeout. But even if this one works, best case scenario, you're going into the half 11-4 down. And honestly, it just looks like NiP are getting to C9. They're not hitting their shots. They're not playing with any real strategy in mind. Like, they just round the corner into Twist. The first player goes, the second player goes. It's 2 free kills for an AWP. They need to find some kind of an execute. There needs to be some utility that comes out just to force NiP back into the bomb site, because at the moment they're just taking free map control wherever they fancy, and that's catching Cloud9 off guard time and time again.
23 kills for Cloud9 in round 12. They're averaging just over 2 kills around, which simply is not good enough. That's why the economy is in such good shape for NiP, why they have been so brutal. And considering that a lot of the rounds have been just a case of a couple of early trades and then just pretty much being swept aside, NiP have consistently saved 3 or 4 weapons, and they've just been absolutely fine. As you say as well, they're just feeling so much confidence that they're allowing themselves to go for these stacks. They're playing Twist alone with the AWP with no help whatsoever. Over on the A side, they don't have anyone on connector, and the rest of the team is stacked on B. And look at their positions as well. These aren't spots you can quickly rotate from. They have made this call. They have telegraphed this play. They know exactly what's coming up, and Cloud9 again are just running into the blender. It is an absolute shutdown. Another timeout. 0 rewards, 0 results for Cloud9 to speak of.
And it just feels like NiP know what's going to happen before it even does. They trust that one AWP on Twist. He's completely exposed to A long, but they just trust that the call is correct. And of course it is. Cloud9 wander into the stack. The utility comes over, but at that point it's a 4-on-5, and the shots are just hit better by NiP. And it looks all too easy, all too simple, as Cloud9, again, off the back of a pause, they lose the round. They go back down onto the Eco. Sonic, this time the player to pick up an AK-47. And what can they get this time around?
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be pessimistic, but probably not much, Wolfie. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this probably will go to NiP. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love to get a close competitive map, but NiP have been just on their A game, and Cloud9, I don't even think this is like their D tier sort of performance. It's been so rough. Twist, though, is being tagged down for the first time in quite a while. Cloud9 actually have the player advantage. They actually have a chance.
They've actually got something to work with as they look to storm in, but Nork on the M4 shuts it down very quickly. Plopsky finds a second, and this again is where Cloud9 need to bail, but Letgro's taken down JT. The bomb is gone with him. And Floppy, he has the AWP at least to try and find this 3v1, but the bomb dropped in the middle of no man's land. Letgro will be the first to go down. We've seen Floppy pull these off before as he tries to make his presence known. Nade takes him down to 42 HP. He's trying to play every angle he can, but he's only got one smoke to work with. No flashes to force these CT players off the angles.
He's doing the smart thing, though. He knows one player at least is on A, and barring a double rotation, this could put it into 2 separate 1v1s. At the very least, he will have a post plant. He still has a smoke. He can cordon off one of these areas. He's played it perfectly thus far, and I think he just saw the shoulder of Nork round the corner peak. Good flick. Now it's down to Plopsky, and Floppy pulls off the clutch. They needed an inspirational play, and maybe that was the moment.
Something had to change, and finally Cloud9 show up. up. Floppy finds himself the 3v1 on a recovered AWP, and they open their account in round number 13 on Overpass. At least they will be able to buy, but the problem at this point is NiP have so much cash built up. They're on full buys till the end of the half regardless.
That is exactly the situation that Cloud9 find themselves in, and the round that they get is off some individual brilliance. So can they rinse and repeat through that? It does at least give them a lifeline if they can take a 12-3 half. I know it seems bleak, but you win the second pistol, there's options, there's hope, there is a dream at the end. But of course, NiP could just shut that dream down right now if they do close this out 14-1. So let's see if Cloud9 can strike twice.
How many times can you rely on individual brilliance to bring you rounds? A slow and measured approach from C9. They know there can be no more mistakes. Flashes over the top, but Twist is going to catch the timing to open up onto JT. And once again, NiP open things up with the entry frag. And Cloud9, they just look like they're starting to run out of options again. It's an absolutely huge 1v3 from Floppy, but that's it, right? That's all they've been able to achieve. And the setup is still good for NiP. Rez lurking in the bathrooms, just trusting himself to hit his shots. The flashbang going to cause some issues, but he will find damage before he's taken down by MOTM on the trade. And NiP, they've still got plenty of presence to work with here.
They certainly do. They still have some utility at their disposal. Time starting to dwindle. Just sub 40 seconds on the clock, and Twist a step ahead of OC. They tried the boost over Flowerbed, but his head is taken clean off. MOTM boosting over his teammate now has to just traipse with the bomb, but he's actually alone with the bomb. It's not as if they're pushing towards B with it. This is going to take quite some time on the rotation. Sonic, though, has found Plopsky. That gives them an inroad towards B.
And they're actually going to take the bomb all the way back around to A. Hope that they've caught NiP off guard at this point, but Lekro still lurking, still buying time, and time is running out for C9. 7 seconds. They can't get the bomb onto the site. Lekro just denying the plant, and Twist will finish the job. Ninjas in Pyjamas immediately reply with round number 13, and Cloud9 again just picked apart slowly but surely. And that frag from Twist really sums it up for me. He just reads what Cloud9 are trying to do.
Absolutely, but Cloud9 also were kind of their own worst enemies in that last 20-30 second period. You saw MOTM has the bomb on long. As soon as that boost doesn't work out for them, they have a good 5 or 10 seconds where they kind of freeze and they're not sure. Sonic gets a pick on B, and they do nothing with it. They still rotate. If there's one player on A, the chances are you lose the round because of time.
Yeah. It's those little moments of indecisiveness, and when you're in this situation as well, where every round is going against you, you can't afford to be indecisive. When you have those half breaks, those half opportunities, you have to be taking them, and instead it's NiP who take their 13th, and Cloud9 again fully commit to the B-bomb site. At least this time there's only 3 CT players here to defend, but the flashbang's good, and Nork will open up. Nork with a quick double, looking for more on the M4. Nork with the triple, and now Plopsky comes in to try and finish things. JT in a 1v4 with 44 HP, trying to maneuver, nothing doing. 14-1 the scoreline at the half.
It has been every bit as clinical and as brutal as the scoreline would suggest. We're going to have to see if Cloud9 can come back and make a ridiculous comeback after this break.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I call the shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. Ain't no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'ma dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste. They all tryna sign my name, they want me to sign my name.
If the Swedes can convert from here, this will be one of the fastest maps of Counter-Strike that you would have seen. And that includes 3 timeouts from Cloud9 already, who find themselves 14-1 behind. Yes, don't adjust your screens. That is real on their choice of Overpass. And Wolfie, it was every bit as one-sided as the scoreline would suggest.
Everything Nip did worked, and everything Cloud9 tried didn't. But they need to start getting back on track, even just taking a few rounds to believe they can start putting up a fight into map 2 would be good at this point. As Rez let Crow pick up the P250, a little bit of utility, and the aggression coming in from the CT side. Floppy with Sonic on the boost backing him up will finally take some map control for Cloud9 towards short as the push starts to come in, and OC pressured off his angle early on.
Vitally important, especially with so much on the line with an elimination match, that he doesn't get picked off early and at least can bolster up that A defense. His death would have been a waterfall onto A, and it could have just swept away this entire map. So NIP still kept at arm's reach, but they're starting to make a move through the bathrooms.
And the aggression from Floppy so important here. They need to call the rotation. C9, they need as much firepower here as possible to help them. OC at least able to take down Twist in the opening engagement. JT fully blinded on his angle, but still staying alive, and that's the important thing. Getting a couple of frags, but now Nip strike. 3 quick frags to bring it back into the 2-on-2. Floppy already on the fast flank, but Rez is going to be able to get the bomb down on the truck. And the rotations start to come in for C9.
The kit planted firmly down the middle of the site. It's going to be hard for either of the Cloud9 players to get their hands on it while these NIP players are alive. Electro's being tagged left and right, flicking across, can't get it done. And now it falls to Rez. Can be quite the monster with pistols, but he's taking a lot of damage. He's hemorrhaging. His wound is proving to be a little bit too costly, and the bomb's not planted for him either. He can't stop the defuse. Cloud9 do strike where they couldn't in the first half. They convert the pistol round, but it's only their second in total.
They finally get something to work with, and they will be able to buy off the back of it. MOTM finally getting himself into double digits on the kills. First player on the C9 side of things to be able to do so. But Nip, they're not going to let up the pressure yet. They will force off the back of that bomb plant, grab a couple of Kriegs onto Twist and Plopsky, Deagles, and the Scout onto Nork in support. So they are by no means out of this round.
Certainly not. You can see though that Cloud9 opting for assault rifles with a FAMAS. This does leave them with less utility. A lot of teams will go for MP9s, UMPs, these kinds of weapons, so that you can afford more HEs, you can afford more incendiaries. Just the one kit for Floppy. This could be a little bit of a worry. Plus, on top of that, you've got to say as well, Wolfie, there's no expendable weapons. If NIP do get a pick, they can transfer across to an M4 or a FAMAS and just bolster up their arsenal of weaponry as well.
It's a very risky buy for C9, but you can understand why they've done it, right? They're there can be no more mistakes. Every round is a must-win, so buying up onto the rifles, onto the FAMASs, as much firepower as possible coming into this round makes sense. As Plopsky going to take the early contact, and MOTM actually going to find an opening pick before Plopsky manages to trade things out. And 4-on-4, the push still looking to come through from the Ninjas in Pyjamas towards this A-bomb site. OC with a lovely flash out will take down Nork, but the trade near enough immediate again for Nip. They've kept it to a 3-on-3, and they've got map control to work with as they start to push in towards A.
Those SGs still firmly in the hands, still some utility to play off. Sonic finds himself on B alone. It's unlikely he will be tested. He's likely going to have to rotate towards A. The call will come through shortly. At least Cloud9 have both players over in this vicinity, but actually Floppy started to back away. This is going to be down to JT. The smoke's starting to plume at the back. Not quite shallow enough, though, to deter JT. This Molotov, though, is going to force him away as it just bounces up in the eyes. The effervescence of the Molotov is going to be extinguished from Plopsky's SG round delivered to the face. And now Sonic with his FAMAS. 10 seconds to try and stall this bomb plan, but it's forthcoming, and NIP are going to do it. Cloud9 cannot string anything together.
And the lack of utility really coming back to bite them. They just had to deny the bomb plant. Time was low, a Molotov, a smoke, anything to stall the advance of the Ninjas would have been useful, but instead they just get picked off one by one, and Cloud9 desperately trying to salvage something on their map pick. Will be buying up pistols on map point, Deagles, 5.7s, and a little bit of utility for them to work with, but Nip surely on for a storming victory here.
It is looking that way, isn't it, Wolfie? I mean, we thought this could be the closest game of the day, maybe. And yet, here we are, 15-2, Cloud9 in shambles on Overpass. Flashbangs may be designated for some timing. Pop flashes into peak, see if they can try and just overwhelm NIP around short. They're taking a more centralized approach. It's only Lecro that's on the periphery of the bathroom. Everyone else either on short or connector, and Nork opens his account in what could be the last round of the map.
Two quick headshots, Plopsky with two more, and Twitch just to take down the last man. OC able to get something done with the 5.7, and that will allow him to recover a Krieg, so a glimmer of hope for the Cloud9 fans in the chat, but a 1 versus 4, 29 HP and 1 Molotov to work with. Nip are just standing and waiting. The bomb will make its way towards B. They know exactly where OC is, so they're just going to wait for him to wander into their crosshairs when they will finish the job.
OC now has to also contend with a bomb plant. As if his woes weren't already stacked up, he has to add one more to the list of things to do. And he's fallen at the first hurdle. It is Nork who comes up at the end, 16-2 on Cloud9's choice of map. And Wolfie, I'm kind of at a loss for words here. I'm not entirely sure what to say about what I just witnessed.
I don't think there is anything you can say. Cloud9 made every mistake in the book, and Nip took advantage of every single one. It was a dominant performance for them, and they're going to feel incredibly confident going into map 2.
Well, it's time to collect ourselves. If you're a Cloud9 fan, I don't know what to tell you, but we're going to be going to a break. Hopefully you feel better in a few moments. We'll see if Cloud9 can pull it back.